Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Great English Podcast. I am your host Catherine.
And I am Mark. This episode is going to be more interesting than ever.
Awesome. May I know what we're going to cover?
Absolutely. We're going to talk about hobbies and personal happiness. We'll cover how different hobbies can improve our well-being, learn new vocabulary related to hobbies, and practice some speaking exercises.
Amazing. Why are hobbies important for personal happiness?
Hobbies are crucial for personal happiness because they allow us to relax, unwind, and do something we enjoy. When we engage in activities we love, it boosts our mood and reduces stress. Imagine coming home after a long day and immersing yourself in a hobby. It can be a great way to recharge.
That sounds wonderful. How about we dive into some specific hobbies and their benefits?
Sure. Let's start with a common hobby, reading. Reading can transport you to different worlds and expand your imagination. It also improves your vocabulary and comprehension skills.
Absolutely. I love how reading can make you feel like you're living different lives. What about outdoor hobbies like gardening?
Gardening is fantastic. It connects you with nature and provides physical exercise. Watching something grow that you've nurtured is incredibly rewarding.
Yes, and it's a great way to get some fresh air, too. Another popular hobby is painting or drawing.
Right. Painting or drawing allows you to express your creativity. It's a form of therapy for many people, helping them to relax and focus.
That's true. And what about sports?
Engaging in sports keeps you physically fit and teaches teamwork and discipline. Whether it's playing soccer, tennis, or even going for a run, the physical activity releases endorphins, which make you feel happy.
Great points, Mark. Let's move on to learning some new vocabulary related to hobbies.
Sure. Let's start with the word immersive. Immersive means deeply engaging or absorbing. For example, reading a good book can be an immersive experience.
Nice. Another word is therapeutic. It means having a healing effect. For example, gardening can be very therapeutic after a stressful day.
How about rejuvenating? It means making someone feel fresher or more energetic. For example, a good hobby can be rejuvenating and make you feel alive.
Those are great words. Now, let's give some examples of these words in sentences.
Of course. Painting can be an immersive hobby that takes your mind off worries.
Many people find knitting to be therapeutic, as it helps them relax.
After a long week, hiking can be a rejuvenating activity that refreshes your mind and body.
Excellent. Now let's practice these words and phrases in a conversation.
Catherine, do you have any hobbies?
Yes, I love reading. It's so immersive. How about you?
I enjoy gardening. It's very therapeutic for me.
That's wonderful. I've heard that hiking can be quite rejuvenating. Have you tried it?
Yes, I have. It's a great way to clear your mind and get some exercise.
I agree. I think having hobbies is essential for personal happiness. They give us a break from our daily routines.
Absolutely. They also allow us to learn new skills and meet new people.
Speaking of new skills, let's move on to some phrasal verbs related to hobbies.
Great idea. Let's start with take up. It means to begin a new hobby or activity. For example, I decided to take up painting during the pandemic.
Another useful phrasal verb is give up. It means to stop doing something. For example, she decided to give up playing the piano because she didn't have enough time.
How about get into? It means to become interested in something. For example, he really got into cooking last year.
Good one. Another is wind down. It means to relax after a period of work or tension. For example, she likes to wind down with a good book after a busy day.
Let's use these phrasal verbs in some sentences.
Sure. I took up yoga to help me relax.
He got into photography after he bought a new camera.
She decided to give up running because of her knee injury.
After work, I like to wind down by watching a movie.
Perfect. Now, let's move on to some speaking practice with these phrasal verbs.
Catherine, have you taken up any new hobbies recently?
Yes, I've taken up knitting. It's so relaxing. How about you?
I've gotten into cycling. It's a great way to stay fit and explore the outdoors.
That sounds fun. Have you ever thought about giving up any hobbies?
I gave up playing the guitar because I didn't have enough time to practice. But I'm thinking of taking it up again.
That's great. How do you usually wind down after a busy day?
I like to wind down with a good book or some calming music.
Nice. Hobbies really do play a significant role in our personal happiness.
They certainly do. Now, let's briefly discuss some grammar points related to talking about hobbies.
Sure. When talking about hobbies, we often use the present simple tense. For example, I read books, or he plays soccer.
Yes, and when we talk about starting new hobbies, we use the present continuous tense. For example, I am learning to play the guitar, or she is taking cooking classes.
Good point. We also use modal verbs like can, could, and might to talk about possibilities and abilities related to hobbies. For example, I can paint well, or you could try hiking.
Exactly. Let's practice using these grammar points in some sentences.
Okay. I read books every evening to relax.
He plays soccer with his friends on weekends.
I am learning to play the guitar this summer.
She is taking cooking classes to improve her skills.
You could try hiking if you enjoy being outdoors.
I can paint well because I've been practicing for years.
Excellent practice. Now, let's wrap up with some final thoughts on hobbies and personal happiness.
We'd love to hear from our listeners. What are your favorite hobbies, and how do they contribute to your personal happiness? Share your experiences with us.
Yes, please do. You can leave a comment below or send us a message. We might feature your stories in our next episode.
And if you have any questions about learning English or suggestions for future topics, let us know. We're here to help you improve your English in a fun and engaging way.
Now, let's hear from some of our listeners who have already shared their hobby stories with us.
Our first story comes from Anna in Brazil. She says, I love dancing. It's a great way to stay fit and express myself. Dancing always makes me happy, and I've made many friends through my dance classes.
That's wonderful, Anna. Dancing is indeed a fantastic hobby. Our next story is from Tom in Germany. He writes, I enjoy woodworking. It's very satisfying to create something with my own hands. Working with wood helps me relax and forget about my worries.
Thanks for sharing, Tom. Woodworking sounds like a very rewarding hobby. Our final story today is from Mai in China. She says, I started learning to play the piano during the lockdown. It's challenging but very fulfilling. Playing music brings me a lot of joy.
That's amazing, Mai. Playing a musical instrument can be a very enriching hobby. Thank you all for sharing your stories with us.
Before we wrap up, let's introduce some advanced vocabulary related to hobbies. These words will help you describe your hobbies more precisely.
Great idea. Let's start with the word engrossing. Engrossing means something that is so interesting that it absorbs all your attention. For example, building model ships is an engrossing hobby for him.
Another word is cathartic. It means providing psychological relief through the expression of strong emotions. For example, for many people, painting can be a cathartic activity.
How about invigorating? It means making one feel strong, healthy, and full of energy. For example, a morning jog can be very invigorating.
Those are excellent words. Let's use them in some sentences.
Sure. She finds writing in her journal to be an engrossing hobby.
Playing the drums can be quite cathartic after a stressful day.
Swimming in the ocean is an invigorating experience.
Great examples, Catherine. Now, let's move on to some more listener questions before we end the episode.
Our first question is from Juan in Spain. He asks, what is the best way to find a new hobby? That's a great question, Juan.
It is. The best way to find a new hobby is to try different activities and see what you enjoy. You can take a class, join a club, or ask friends about their hobbies. The key is to keep an open mind and be willing to experiment.
Absolutely. And remember, it's okay if you don't love every hobby you try. The important thing is to have fun and explore new interests.
Great advice, Catherine. Our next question is from Aisha in Kenya. She asks, how can I make time for hobbies when I have a busy schedule?
That's a common challenge, Aisha. One way to make time for hobbies is to schedule them into your day, just like you would with any other important activity. Even if it's just 15 minutes a day, it can make a big difference.
Another tip is to choose hobbies that fit into your existing routine. For example, if you enjoy reading, you can read during your commute or before bed.
Exactly. It's all about finding a balance and making your hobbies a priority.
Our final question is from Marco in Italy. He asks, can hobbies help with mental health?
Definitely, Marco. Hobbies can be very beneficial for mental health. They provide a break from stress, offer a sense of accomplishment, and can even help you connect with others. Engaging in activities you love can boost your mood and overall well-being.
Well said, Catherine. Hobbies are a great way to take care of your mental health.
That brings us to the end of this episode. We hope you've enjoyed learning about hobbies and personal happiness.
Yes, and we hope you've picked up some new vocabulary and phrases along the way.
Remember to share your hobby stories with us and keep exploring new interests.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Great English Podcast.
Goodbye, everyone.